What's good, everybody? It's Hardy Boy, and I'm back again for another nap stream for an hour. And first, before we have our nap, I'm gonna have a cigarette. What's everybody up to today? I just wanted to ask, see what everybody's doing, just so I know. I had a very good morning myself this morning, though. My dad picked me up at 9:30 in the morning, and we went to McDonald's, got some orange juice and some hot cakes for $4.99. It was really cheap breakfast that we got, less expensive than going to the Egg Smart because the French toast was overpriced over there. But it's not bad though if it's only like $10 for two people at McDonald's. And while we were there today, there was this beautiful picture when we walked in there waiting for our order that had a boat and birds, and it also had water in the background showing a river. And the bid for that painting is $200 total to bid to win the painting. And it was pretty cool. And I wish I could have a picture of a boat with a lake in the background to put on my wall. That would be great to find something that's similar to that one. And then once we got back to my place, I showed my dad some of the videos of the public eating pranks. I showed him the prank video where the guy fries up some eggs and bacon and eats it out loud in front of a bunch of girls in the library. That was pretty funny for both of us to watch. And then in that same video, there was a guy with celery and he's munching on it right behind a whole group of people, which is also pretty funny too. And the rest of my day today, I'm going to be playing some Battle Royale plunder matches on Modern Warfare. I'm just waiting for the update to be done, which is going to take about 6 hours of waiting because that's how long it takes for the multiplayer update. And then I'll be able to get back to playing that again. I'm just waiting so I can get back online on that thing. And for the time being, I'm just listening to music on my Spotify. I was doing this morning while I was waiting for that. And then the other night, before today, I went to Port Dalhousie with my grandpa. He went with me, and we walked all the way to the pier and then back to the vehicle. And then when we got back to his place, we had some China garden food. We had some chow mein, some chicken, and some vegetables. And we also watched a couple movies too. We watched Sonic 2 and Detective Pikachu. Seen those movies yesterday, which is pretty nice. And I'm hoping this year that I can fully conquer getting rid of the alcohol and weed addiction, because that's what I've been working on all this year. I think 12 times is enough failed times that I realize now that I have to battle and keep staying sober no matter whether I get extra money or not. I got to save it all up instead of spending it on unresponsible things. I want to be saving money so I can get some retro gaming consoles to add to my collection here at my place. And I also want to save up money so I can get some Mario and Zelda posters plastered all over my wall. And that's what I really want to do. And the consoles I don't have that I want to get is the Sega Dreamcast, the Genesis and NES and Atari, because I'd really like to go back in the past and play all those old games and just have them set up as decorations too. That'd be great. Because I can make this empty wall here plastered with more pictures, because that's what I'd really like to have. It would be really great. Because then if I have guests over, they can play old retro games, which would be cool. And the ones I'm really looking into playing for the Atari is Pac-Man, Galacta, and F1 pole positioning. I like those games. And the Dig Dug game where you go under the ground and dig for treasures, that's pretty cool too. So that's all the stuff that I want to be able to play. Finishing off my drink and then laying down. This is just a short little nap, not really too much. Go to sleep. I just need to reserve some more energy by doing this. Once I've laid down for a few minutes, then I'll get back up and chat with everybody. If it was 1958 again, that would be a great time because I would be playing N64 on split screen with 007, playing Slayer matches. That's what I would be doing right now if it was still the 90s. And I'd be eating ketchup Doritos with some pizza, man. That was the great times in those old days when all the kids got together in their friend circle and did that. That's why I wish that we were back in that old time again. Because everything was simple and good. There was no 4 or 5 hour loading times for PS4 multiplayer games. It's just grab a controller and play with 4 other people on screens. That was always a good time. But now the consoles have come a long way. It just takes forever now to install games because everything's all generated like a computer. And if I could get back the N64, I'd play battle mode on Mario Kart 64 and play multiplayer in Smash Bros. And deck it out, fight with others. That would be awesome to be able to do that. I could have 4 different people, separate controllers. I could be fighting all of them. It could be Donkey Kong versus Samus and Bowser. And I could just have me and those other people facing each other with those Nintendo characters. And the best objective was to smash each of your friends off the edge to determine the winner. That was always great. And the Smash Bros had like a pinball effect where if you hit your opponent hard enough, they fly off the map like a pinball. So that's what was really cool. And then in classic mode, you get 10 different stages where you fight against every Nintendo character and knock them off the edge. And then you face against this big giant hand called Master Hand that you have to do 100 damage to. Then you also have to jump out of the way as he attacks you with his electric bolts. And then you got to go back in there and keep hitting him until you 100% him until he's dead. That's also pretty cool too. And the old N64 console was the first 3D game console to come out, which was great. We had those shell shaded environments with 3-dimensional characters. That was like the first time that anybody got to play Nintendo in 3D. And Mario and Zelda were the really beautiful looking games that you could play, because the landscapes looked so realistic and so great for that era in the 90s. If I could get back all those old consoles, I could relive all the memories. Now it's 2022, where everybody is suffering really badly and having to be very, very careful all the time because people are dying and getting sick from the virus. It's happened since the beginning of the virus happening, and it just sucks that we've been going through 3 years of cases just rising and not going down. I just want all this to end so we can just go back to normal life. Because back before there was a pandemic and we didn't have to worry about getting sick was the best. Because you could just publicly walk through a mall and go shopping when you wanted to without having to worry about getting sick. And I like those times when I could just go shopping for clothes and get a bite to eat at the food court and not have to be concerned that I'm going to get a summer cold or end up having to test for COVID to make sure that's not what it is. Because every time I get sick with a cold, I have to do a test to find out whether it's just a cold or not. It just sucks. I kind of think, in my opinion, though, that it's going to last another 5, 6 years because there are still people not following the rules and they still will not protect themselves and be safe because there's others out there that just don't care. And a lot of others out there thinking that it's bullshit. So they don't wash their hands constantly like they should be. They touch other doors and other surfaces and get others sick. People are walking by hand sanitizers and not even using them. It's like, oh, because Ford said there's no masks, that means that the virus isn't as bad anymore, which is not true. Cases are still rising. They're getting worse because of that, because everybody's just wanting their freedom. So that made this even harder now. You still had your freedom, even though you had to wear a mask. You may have had to protect yourself and wear something over your face, but that didn't take complete freedom all away from you. After the first couple months of lockdowns, people could go back to their jobs. People were still able to go out to eat as long as they had passports. So it wasn't as big of a deal as everybody said. I realize that time keeps going, but everybody needs to stop living in fear and they have to move on with their lives and continue living. That's what they need to do. Not just sit there and complain about how nothing is going down and the cases are always going up. Instead of complaining, just let life take its course and do the best you can to live your best life. That's what I think people need to do. That's why so many people are ordering food to their house and sitting on their computers and messaging people instead of getting out and socializing because they're so fearful that they could catch something that they don't want to bother leaving their comfort zone. And more people came around and did more things with me before this happened. But now it seems like there's less people around because of the pandemic happening. People still need to get out and go for a walk and go look at the scenery and enjoy it. Because that's what I do. I get out every day and I walk around at least once every day just so I can enjoy the sun outside because it's good for me. Well, in my circumstance, all the friends that I had, all they wanted to do basically was drink or smoke weed. And that's all their life existed for. It's just for substances. And now that I've dropped every single one of those friends, I don't really have any people around left except for family. But I keep family close because they're the ones I rely on right now. Because I would rather just, for the time being, just not be around anybody if I can't find a good source of friendships. It's better just to stick to myself and be happy with myself and focus on myself to be healthier and better without doing those things that the others are doing around me. Because I'm focusing on getting exercise by myself and walking to get sober. That's more of what I'm doing myself because I'm trying to make myself a better person. And if I have that time on my own to focus on that, things will get better. And a lot of the others that I did have years ago, they've moved away and moved on with their lives, working full time. They're making money because they need to do that. And not everybody's going to always be sticking around in my city. People are going to move on and move forward. And I'm just going to have to keep moving forward and pushing through myself when those people find other things to do. Because you're not going to have, because some people that are meant to be around you will stay around you, but the ones that are not meant to stick around will eventually move on. But if you know it's meant to be and you have that one close friend that sticks around with you all the time, then you should be blessed just to have one person around that can be a good friend for you. Somebody you can go out to eat with, and someone that can play video games or watch a movie with you when you're bored. It's just good to have that companion that will come around and do that. Because I would be happy to have someone take me out for pizza and go for walks with me. That'd be great. And you never know what will happen in the future. I may meet somebody that I become very close with, that I hang out with all the time, because the future holds new friendships every year or so, even without trying or focusing on trying to make that new friend. You could bump into them just by walking down the street and could become your new best friend. Someone could walk up to you when you're walking down the street and say, "Hey, you have a really nice hat. I like the shoes and the shirt you wear." And they could just say, "Hey, let's go get something to eat." That could happen at any moment where someone could just offer you food and to hang out. It could happen at any moment without you expecting it. And I always meet new people every couple years. So I'm not always permanently alone because I have one or two people that I stick to once every couple years that stay around for that time. Then after that, I just have to find new connections once those people find other things to do and things come up. But really, what we're all here to do is we're here to support each other and be there for each other in difficult times and good times because we need to all be there for each other instead of shunning out the person who's different or who has autism or a disability. Everybody in the world should be accepting each other for how each person is because nobody can change the way that their mind works. So you just have to have acceptance and people who will say, "Hey, that guy might be a little bit different, but he's still caring, nice, loyal." They can think of those things too. Because yeah, I might have some problems, but I'll be the nicest person that you meet. If a person was starving and hungry, I would invite them into my place and feed them. If they wanted to just chill and shoot the breeze and just hang out and listen to music, I would do that for the person. And that's the thing. I'm a genuine nice person around everybody. And I have to continue to do that for the others that struggle the same. And a lot of people with good hearts and good intentions get hurt and taken advantage of very easily because the world thinks and expects that that person is going to do everything for them at all times. And people should be a lot nicer and stop using people that are like that because those people are trying to go out of their way to be kind and nice and then find out they just that the others were just there just for a place to stay and a place to use somebody for their food because my nice deeds sometimes turns into manipulation from other people. And you also got to stand your ground too. You can't be too nice because if you are, people are just going to walk all over you too. So that's another thing. You have to set boundaries. You have to cook one meal ahead of time that you can give your guests and say, "Here's some pre-made food for you to eat, but that's all you're getting for now." You can't expect that you're going to get food all the time. And same with cigarettes or alcohol. You should need to stand up and say, "Bring your own booze, bring your own cigarettes. Don't expect that somebody else is going to always supply it for you." And you got to be straight up with people and say, "Listen, if you want to be a good friend of mine, don't take advantage, don't use." I'd be like, if you help me out with bringing the drinks over yourself and I do the same thing for you, then that's more fair. And same with if I buy food for somebody else, they should pay the favor back and buy too the second time. That's just how it has to, that's how it should work, but it doesn't always work out that way. And you know what, people who struggle with weed or alcohol addiction, what they should do is they should reach out to therapists and counseling so they can talk about their problems that they're going through with a professional, because that can be very insightful and helpful, because professionals can give you good advice and steps to stay sober. They can be very beneficial because they have a really deep understanding of what you're going through. And I didn't want to admit that I had a weed and alcohol problem, but I reached out to addiction counseling and a therapist to talk to, because that was the right step in the direction to get me off of it. It's just to talk about it and get it off my mind. And that's what all of us should be doing, is we should admit that we need the help and we need to get off of whatever we're doing that's bad. Maybe hard to do, but you got to admit you have something going on if that's really the truth. And I have accepted all the therapy and help that I can get for staying sober because I knew it was beneficial for me. So I have accepted all of that. I may have slipped up several times this year, but I still got back on my feet and pushed forward to stay clean, even though I failed. I still kept putting myself back on my 2 feet and pushing forward. And there's always going to be a time where you'll fail or go off the wagon again or go down a downward spiral. But you just got to be positive and keep saying to yourself, hey, what am I doing? I shouldn't be doing this again. And then catch yourself in the act and stop. That's what you got to do. So you got to say, hey, I'm drinking this alcohol again. Let's put this down. Or, hey, I'm smoking another bong rip again. I just need to put this down because I don't want to keep binging. And then you just tell your mind, I don't need it. That's what you have to do. Tell your mind to stop playing tricks on you. You tell your mind to F off. You say, fuck off, mind. No more weed. No more booze. Stop. Because you got to say to yourself, do you want to die from drinking too much booze? Or do you want to live through your whole life till you're old? And my choice is live through the rest of my life until I'm old without liver failure. You have choices to make. You die young from drinking too much, or you move forward and you stop before you lose your life early. And there are lots of people that are quitting the weed now because they've been having bad experiences. And the bad experiences that they've been having is severe hallucinations that cause you to be in hospitalization. Also, other things that can happen on it is you might feel really dizzy, disoriented, and sick for 3 days on end. from smoking one joint because it doesn't hit you the same every time. And when people feel sick like that off of smoking, they just don't want to continue because once you have that horrible experience, you don't want to go back. You either end up delusional or you end up very, very disoriented, dizzy, and sick to your stomach. Those are the two outcomes that can happen. Because if it hits you too hard, you could lose consciousness and pass out. Or when you try to stand up, you can barely move. Those are the bad experiences that can happen. And I had a terrible experience once when I did a popper. I remember I packed the bowl with a bunch of weed and this popper, and then I went and laid down in bed. And when I stood up to go have a shower, I fell on the floor because I was so dizzy when I got up out of my bed. Then I got into the bathroom, dropped on the bathroom floor, felt the spins while I was there. And then when I got into the shower, I dropped again while I was in the shower. Same thing, dizzy and disoriented. So that happened 3 times when I was trying to stay conscious and stand up. Because like my mind was going in and out of consciousness and I had severe spins every time I tried to stand up. I thought I was just going to react to it the normal way I did, but that time it was more extreme. And you know why I was having that weakness and dizziness and kept falling over trying to get into the shower? Because I did too much. And that was scary, being so dizzy that I fell over 3 times. And the thing is, your mind can be tricked because some people believe that the weed is always going to make me chill. It's always going to make me relaxed. But you can have that one bad experience that makes you not want to do it again. Because it's not going to hit the same every time. It's unpredictable. Because these people talk and say, that's good on you. It's good to be smoking weed. And then they have a bad experience and they go, oh, hell no. This stuff is bad now. Shouldn't do it anymore. But that didn't stop me from smoking though, because I kept on smoking again after that one day, after I fell over those 3 times. I still kept binging because I was still into the addiction that I couldn't get out of. So no matter how bad I felt, I still was shaking and anxious without that hit. And it took 2 years to finally realize that binging and smoking weed by my window all day long is not worth it. If all I'm going to do is get fat, eat all day, and lay on the couch doing nothing, I'm not achieving anything if I'm just going to be sitting there lazy like that. All you're doing is gaining weight and sitting around all day. That's not a life. I've already quit already 3 times already after going back this last 2 to 3 months. And some days the withdrawal is so bad that I wake up with anxiety attacks and heart palpitations. And other days I feel calm and relaxed and fine. It's just that my moods are still switching up and down. in the process of quitting because it's only been a week so far that I've quit again. It's going to take at least 60 to 100 days to actually feel like myself again. And I'm still going to be going through heavy heart rate and heart beating fast because that's all part of it. But you just have to stay strong and fight past that part to then improve. I have belief in myself that if I keep going forward and I keep telling my mind, no, I don't want to go back, then I will stay off of it. Because if that goal is to not go back, then I know I can keep pushing through this. Ugh. All right, everybody. It's time for my nap. Gotta get some rest. Having myself a snack, having some pepperoni sticks and some tomatoes to eat. Gotta have some of my protein and some veggies. Need to have that in my life. I didn't want to eat my sweet chili heat Doritos because I felt like eating something healthier this time. And I just chose the pepperonis and tomatoes because that's a better choice than junk food, like the original thing I was going to go with. Because I see those Doritos sitting up in the cupboard, and I've been saving them because I just don't want to eat them. But I was thinking about grabbing them when I was going to get the pepperettes and the tomatoes, though. I was really I was really having a bad urge for it, but I persevered and said no Doritos, even though I really wanted to eat them. So another thing I'm trying to cut down on, eating greasy burgers, pizza all the time with Doritos. I just don't want to do that anymore because that's another goal I need to work on for myself to lose the weight is just stay off of all the junk. That's another goal that I set for myself. Ugh. Still exhausted and have to nap periodically throughout the day. It's part of substance withdrawal because you'll feel energetic first thing in the morning, and then in the afternoon you feel like passing out and having a nap because you feel weak off of not having the drinks or the pot. So that's why I gotta have naps 2 to 3 times throughout the days to recover my energy until I get to the stage where I don't have to feel the need to do any of those things. But you're gonna feel tired and just fatigued for a while when you first go through it. Ugh. Ooh.